That's right. I'm a fast rider.
I got to tell you, I ran out of space to write notes myself. I don't even know how I'm able to even. I'm taking notes while I'm talking to you, while I'm listening, while I'm moving things around.
You're a polymath. You're a Renaissance man. You're an octopus of the mind.
I was giving him a run for his money for sure. I was definitely working Joseph's cardio before this because we couldn't get this tech to work today. So, so you've got your cardio workout.
Let me see what my heart rate is. Let me see how many steps I did, basically just pacing up and down.
And Bob and Jan look so calm. Bob and Jan are the calm in the storm here. Look at these guys.
Well, I'm just trying to come down after that workout. You know, I'm getting my pulse, down. I'm breathing in and out. I'm being aware of the workout that I just had.
You guys are making you're making that sit up I did this morning look really bad.
Here's what I do while watching CoronaTV.
There you go. Just get it moving. That's all it takes.
I was actually doing squats. I was doing chest stretches. I was doing all kinds of things while listening to you guys.
Oh, yeah. I was all ready to go. I had my desk elevated. I was going to stand while we're doing this and be a little bit more. I don't think you needed me any more animated though, Joseph. So it's probably working that I sat down. It's probably good.
Yes. Steve Garfield just sent in this photo. That's just us on the big screen.
Oh boy,
that's good.
So I mean, why not? Why not be on the treadmill? And I mean, for me, what I was doing, JT, was while I was running, until I got injured, and so this week I start physio, unfortunately. But I had a good run, quite literally. And figuratively, but I was listening to Tim Ferriss and Howard Stern, and it was just everything, and it was just amazing to be out 3 times a week for 45 to 60 minutes, and so it kind of not only did it clear my mind, it fed my mind while I was feeding my body, and it was just and then when I realized I'd injured myself. I felt the cloud. I felt that cloud of depression almost, like, or at least the fear of it. And that's when suddenly I was, I feared, right? I feared my weight coming back, and so now I'm thinking of replacement, like how I'm going to start cross training. But I lived the spiritual and the mental, I would say, joy and upliftment and energy of physical activity during this time. And the irony, of course, is that in our business, right? In our business, how often do we spend just sitting on our butts?
You're right. When I was in graduate school, I was at graduate school at Yale. I lived outside of town. There was no gym to join, so I ended up running 6 miles a day, and it made me so much better a thinker. And in fact, JT. At the age of 58, I decided to get serious about working out. So I set as a goal to go to the gym every day for 2 hours a day for 1 year, and then see where it took me. I started off benching 85 pounds, and by the time I was 63, I hit 315 pounds.
Wow.
So I could do stuff in my
I need to work out with you, Tom.
I could do stuff in my mid-60s that I never would have dreamed of doing in my 20s or 30s. And it's just all about dedication and consistency. And I had a workout partner who would encourage me every day, and that's huge.
Right, and that's the secret sauce of this community that we're building. I'm smiling at your story because I mentioned I was like 90 pounds sopping wet my freshman year, like in college, right? Like I've always been a runt, but it was funny that I ended up becoming best friends with when I first got married, a fireman who's this big, lunky guy, and we've been friends for forever. And he mouthed off about running a marathon. I was like, we'll run a marathon. And we started this training way back when. And that's really what changed my life. And and it's like you, it's like even at lately in the last 4 years, I've done things. I'm in better shape than I was in my 20s. It's because I woke up at Nissan and I was like, I'm traveling the world. I'm miserable. I'm stressed out. I'm out of shape. I don't feel good. I've got a super stressful environment. And I was like, you know what? My wife was like, let's take care of you and let's take care of ourselves. And she was the one who encouraged me to start running again and working out. And it's funny, Joseph, you're saying like nothing is, was this a master plan? My life is nothing but uncanny. There are too many coincidences of what happens in my life, right? But it was that journey which then led me to here. And I think why I have my heart is so big for what an average person faces, and the intimidation and the misperception and the misinformation of all the junk that, quite frankly, marketers have put out in the market for fitness and how your body should look forever, versus how we should feel and what the vitals should be versus what we actually look like. It really keeps me going, about what we're trying to do. And I look at my kiddos and what I'm trying to teach them, and wanting to make sure that I'm there for them whenever they're older, so that I'm not in bad shape like I was several years ago.
Yeah. And you're right. Those stresses and those, when I was traveling 100 cities a year, you're eating rich food, you're eating sometimes too much, way too much. You're under stress all the time. And so you're right. You have to counter that with something. So once I got started with my workouts, I tried on the road, rather than say, oh, I'm too tired when I check into the hotel. No, lace up the tennis shoes and go down to the gym, even if it's just 20 minutes, In fact, my workout partner, he says that so many people tell him, well, I don't have time to work out. And he says, give me 10 minutes and it can change your life if you do the right stuff. Like with him, it's burpees and stuff like that, but it doesn't take a long time,
I have a question for
you. And we're trying to tell that story. Sorry.
No, go ahead, JT.
No, I was saying that, Tom, just to build on that, it's one of the core philosophies we're trying to bring forward, even as we go next year, is these things we call them mighty minutes. And it's about the accretiveness of how this adds up. And give me 5-10 minutes. And that's where United We Moved started off, was just like, you're in your home, we're stuck, you can't go outside, we're scared. And I had to have these debates, because I've got some really hardcore fitness folks in the company, which are brilliant, and they help guide and coach me on where to go for the member. And I was like, I just want to get and inspire America to move. And we had to have these big debates. We're like, well, no, the form needs to be like this, and this many reps, and this many. And I'm like, I just want to get them off the couch, and I want to get them feeling good about moving, so they don't get stuck. And once that happened, and that flywheel started to spin, then all of a sudden the doors opened up in a very, very big way. But it's human behavior, right? Like, as object in motion likes to stay in motion, object not in motion will stay at rest. So this is such a fascinating world to play in as a marketer, because we're all about driving demand, driving action, driving behavior, but I'm actually trying to drive physical behavior. And a culture that's not set up to support that.
That's true.
Because we have a lot of options. We actually do have time. We just have other priorities. And whether it's going out to eat, going to see a movie, used to be, hanging out with family, working, whatever it may be. So it's, how do you kind of fit that in and help people understand, like, no, this is something that you do for yourself, you do for your loved ones, and it makes all those other things much richer.
Jen, I think you're gonna.
Oh yeah. Well, I was thinking. Part of the conversation was about data that you guys collect, knowing your customers. And I was wondering if you touched on, maybe I missed it, if you touched on data that shows customers who factor in as part of the time that they spend getting to the gym, going to the locker, or not using the locker. Like, do you know that I would think most women don't use the locker rooms, and men, but not most men do, and that the trend is not to use the locker room, and then this pandemic would even increase that, accelerate that trend.
Yeah, it's we do know a lot about our members, and we're always trying to find better ways to kind of map them through the clubs. But we are seeing different pockets based upon where, how high a risk was, and how long have we been open, but also what people want to do when they come into the club or not. Because leading into this, we were like not. So we were looking at cardio. We were looking at how to do things without equipment, because even if you wanted to buy things for your home, could you afford it? Could you get it? Like, for the first time ever, like, even if you wanted to buy dumbbells, you couldn't find them, right? Like there was this moment in time where this was unavailable. So when you go back all the way to the democratizing fitness piece, we started there and just say like, hey, let's just start with the basics. Then, Jan, to your direct point, like we're always looking for ways to make the club experience better for each of our members. And, you know, we're going to have to keep doing that. I mean, you know, look at our clubs that are open right now. We've, you know, depending on the market, we've got different capacity constraints and we're abiding by the local guidelines. And we want to expand those, but we want to do it in a safe and measured way and make sure that we're doing that correctly. So we've got to make sure that we leverage the whole club. We got to make sure we're using the cardio, we're using the strength machines, because we're spacing people out now to keep them safe. And all of those things are coming in that operation playbook that we're working on continually, market by market. So there's not one answer. We have to look at every single piece of data in every single market. But the nice thing is, because we are committed to the member, it allows us to flex at every 2,000. We have over 2,000 locations. So we have a distinct playbook that's, you know, global in nature, but can be operationalized local based upon the needs of the market.
Thank you for that. My follow-up question was simply, how do you enforce that kind of brand position? I've seen clubs try to do that, and the grunting still goes on. You know, the male staring at women, you know, et cetera. And you know, how do you enforce that?
Yeah, I mean, the most important part is our people, right? I mean, the people that we hire for, the people that we train, the staff that are at our clubs, they're actually opting into the Planet Fitness story. For many of them, if you talk to them, this isn't just a job, right? They believe in the brand they're signing up for, which is getting back to the purpose-giving performance piece. So our franchisees buy into the system. You know, of the 2,000 clubs we have, most of them are franchisee owned. We have 100 corporate clubs that we own and we use as test cases, and we do different things. But they're buying into the proposition. We're reinforcing it, and through the marketing and through the operations team, we support it. And I'll tell you, the secret of this company is we're a marketing company and we're an operating company. And whenever me and our chief operating officer get together, those are the things that we can really move. So this playbook that we have, think about how going from shutting everybody down, which we thought that was hard, to reopening. Each market's different. Each one's got a little different requirements. The government has different criteria. And being able to operationalize that within the brand means we have to be really, really tight. And to create that level of burden on an hourly worker outside of the salaried staff that we have, they have to really understand that and embrace it, because it takes more work. It takes more work to socially distance. It takes more work to wipe down and clean as much as we're doing. We were doing that before. We're doing even more after. And to stay up to date on all the different health and health requirements and making sure that we stay open as an essential business. So it really has to be that level of dialogue all the way from the top to the bottom, and that shared sense of belief. Because if you don't have it, then I'm just being a corporate dictator. Look, I've worked in those companies before. I've worked with those types of people. You can forget it. Like, how do you engage? How do you do this from the ground up?
Thank you.
I have to say that first of all, just so that I'm correct about this, you're saying that it's $10 to be a member, $10 a month. So you are basically the Southwest of the category.
That's right.
In the best possible way, right? Nothing but love. And this idea of democratizing fitness is huge, because now you have the ability to ladder up to these really not just altruistic, but idealistic goals and make them real. The thing that I wanted to share with you was, you know, this is a time when everything is available, right, for free. There's an app for that. Even if you look at the Pelotons of the world that have their own app. So I wanted to share with you a framework that I put together that I think is perfect for you guys. So it's called PBEC, Product Brand Experience Community. Product, functional benefit, what it does, how it works, right? So it's very much a transactional, you know, exchange. B of brand, how it makes you feel, right? The emotional. So you have functional benefit to emotional benefit. Now, my argument is most companies stop there. The brand is an end unto itself as opposed to a means to an end. And my argument is both product and brand are not customer centric at all, because it's all about us. It's about the great product we made. And it's all about, look at our light, Moth, and now you just get, attracted to us like a moth to a flame. But now when you actually make the leap to E of experience, which I define is how it actually adds value and utility benefit to your life. One way of looking at it is it's the flip of B. So instead of now being about, it's now how the brand fits into your life as opposed to you fitting into the brand's life. And then the C is community, which is what happens now when you unite and aggregate all of those individual experiences or utilities. And that, to me, is the highest level of engagement and activation. I'll give you a quick example. Nike, right? The P of product, pair of shoes, right? Really well-engineered, pronates, bubbles, whatever. The B of brand is just do it. Now, I always use this when I'm giving a keynote. I'll say, it's a little flippant. I go, hey, fatso, get off the couch and run a marathon. Just do it. Just do it. You can do it. Who, me? Yes, you. Buy a pair of these shoes and just do it. But it's the E of experience, Nike Plus, Nike Running, Nike ID, Nike Fuel. The fact that they've actually recognized a human truth, which is it's very lonely and painful and isolating sometimes to run. And so what they did was even little things like a cheer, like your friends will actually cheer you on when you start to run. But of course, it's the C of community. It's the human race, run London, we run Westport, we run New Jersey, and how the employees at a Nike town are in fact runners themselves, and how they've created, now of course, that is elevated beyond with respect to their point of view during these COVID times. They just came out with one now, another brilliant piece after the Lakers won. The NBA. And so, but it is community, it's all shared. And so I actually think it is the C of community that will propel Planet Fitness to not only differentiate within the category, but even outside of the category with respect to the pelotons, etc. But also just, who's the real enemy? The real enemy is inertia, lethargy, the real enemy is obesity. And I think the community of employees and customers, what you're building, even evidenced on something as frivolous as New Year's Eve, it's not really, that's why I put in air quotes. And I think that's your killer app right now, which is community.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm looking for something. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
No, I think, Joseph, you kind of hit the nail right on the head, because I think that when we look at this world that we play in, there's a lot of shiny widgets that we could play. Everybody wants an app. Everybody wants a community engagement tool. Everybody wants a fill in the blank, whatever it is. But I think how you truly bring those to life and operationalize them is what matters. And look, the world doesn't need another fitness app, period. There's tons of content out there. But what the world needs is what we're providing is, how do I get into this journey and break down these barriers to get started and feel supported and nurtured, so that I feel I create that positive momentum to get me moving and keep me on the journey on the road ahead. Nike did it for runners and for folks that want to get through that. Planet, we've got a way to do it too. And what's very interesting for us is that narrative isn't just one. We have multiple consumer journeys, multiple member journeys, because I talked about our member base. And that's what's actually so interesting about this is, I've got a segment, but my segment is mass. And so I've got very deconditioned folks who can't maybe even walk stairs right now, to Uber athletes who actually need more weight and more free weight, then I have to guide them to the right places in the club, because of the way we decided to set up our club. And our philosophy is, a little bit of, what the Nissan Xterra was, is like everything you want, nothing that you don't. It's like everything that you really truly need, and we're going to make it the best, the most pristine. The equipment gets refreshed every 5 years from our franchisees. The clubs are always clean, always beautiful, always sterile. We've always done that, but because we're not investing in superfluous crap that doesn't add a lot of value to our members, we're able to invest in the things like the content, like the app, like the equipment, like the other amenities that we provide that actually matter, and keep the price point way, 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 way low. So that is one that keeps me there and keeps me top of mind, because even if I could cancel, will I at $10? Well, what am I doing to myself if I don't at least believe in $10 for me? And that's a conversation we want members to have on their own. That's not a conversation I'm going to drive. That's not how I want a member to feel. It'd be very easy for me to play into that as a marketer, as an evil mastermind marketer. That's not what we're going to do as a brand. We are instead taking that community approach. We're here for you. What can we do? And that United We Move, what you'll see in the ANA, we started off with celebrities and fun things to get people in, to get people moving. But now it's 100% our own people, our trainers, we call them our PF ambassadors, because they are the representation of community, because you can actually see Teddy Savage in Maryland when you go into the club and work out with him. Like, he's there for free every day. And that piece is starting to create a sense of reality, which is very different. You've seen some other fitness category players that are recently putting some stuff in market that are also trying to play around that space. We have that already. We have that as our core DNA. And that's a part of our story that we want to bring forward.
I will just add one thing, and I'll give it back to the others out there, which is, it's interesting. I mean, it's not even subtle. You've turned everything on its head. So instead of looking at the lowest common denominator, meaning the buff kind of stereotype of the bodybuilder on roids, like that old fashioned idea of being elite. You're looking at the person who's on the couch as a victory of just being able to take 10 steps or do 1 push-up and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. And that may not be overwhelming, but that's where you chose to also put your energy today, even in this conversation, not saying, hey, we want to make sure that bodybuilders don't give up, It's like,
yeah. This is so important. I mean, I wanted to mention 2 things real quick. You were talking about Nike. You guys may have all read Phil Knight's book, Shoe Dog. One of my favorite business books, because it's so much about adversity. It's so much about all the setbacks to get him where he couldn't even have imagined going. It's like the modern Odysseus, of the business world. So I wanted to mention that. But another thing, I saw a lady in the gym I used to go to. It was a country club gym that cost me $600 a month to belong to. So I like the Planet Fitness pricing. But there was this lady who would come in every day, and all she would do is get on the exercycle and pedal really slowly. And my friend and I, we're on battle ropes. We're on all the weight machines where it's yelling at each other, and this lady just comes in and gets on the exercycle and pedals really slowly. And I thought to myself, really? She comes in and then one day I saw her on the exercycle with one of my books, reading one of my books called The Oasis Within. And I said, yeah, I'm really glad that lady's in here. That lady is really important to me now. And the funny thing is, the title of the book she was reading is The Oasis Within. And I came to realize that gym was an oasis for her. And it was a time that it was a restoration and a replenishing time. And it was a time in her day where maybe she had worn herself out and she was giving herself not a nap, she was giving herself something physical to do. And so we started, my workout partner and I, who's the strongest guy I've ever known, we would talk to her every day. And it became part of our community. But that's the beauty. I mentioned both those stories because one day there has to be a Planet Fitness book, because you guys are living all the right values and you're living through an Odysseus size time right now, where you'll have some amazing stories about adversity and overcoming adversity, but you have just the right ideas about the importance of a nation's health. I think a Planet Fitness book telling your story as America's story of coming to value again, what Kennedy was so important to John Kennedy, and that has waned in our time, that could be a very powerful part of your service, a part of your brand, a part of the experience, and really dear to the community. So it's just, I'm so glad you came on the show today, because of all the businesses out there, you guys serve a role that's really distinctive. And when my workout partner, we decided to quit our expensive country club gym, and he surveyed all the gyms in the area. He went personally to all the gyms in the area, and he said to me, Planet Fitness, we're going to join Planet Fitness. So once things open back up, that's what the plan is. So you've got to feel really good about representing a brand that's so great.
I think what Tom is trying to say is that he is going to donate 60 memberships now to Planet Fitness with the $600 that he saved. But
bring all
yeah.
ladies
Thank
reading
you, Tom.
my books.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're gonna wind up in about 2 minutes. I'm just gonna see if anyone else wants to add something that didn't. But by the way, I just want to pick up on this because here in the Zoom after show, we pride ourselves on coming up with ideas. I like the book idea, and I just want to build on that. I think the book should be written by all of your members. So I think there might be a really interesting a series of essays written maybe even during COVID that Planet Fitness puts out. So rather than come from, the agency copywriters and the consultants and the executives, you can do that at the bookends. But I think, wouldn't it be amazing to see how your members showed their resilience and found their strength during these tough times, all under the umbrella, of democratization of fitness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm smiling very big right now, Joseph, without giving away anything. But one of the things I asked was, let's start talking to real members at the start of this year when their fitness journey started. I didn't know what I was going to get, but we've been staying very close. So stay tuned because the stories that I could have uncovered versus what we have experienced as a culture this year is like, this was a great democratizer, unfortunately, this pandemic, because it hit us all. Every person, every bracket, some populations more so for sure than others. And it's just been phenomenal to watch the stories of perseverance of those that are with us trying to get through this and how they're approaching it, because it's mind and body connected, and again, we have all this conversation about taxes and healthcare and pharmaceutical costs. And you look and you take a step back and you're like, okay, this is a critical conversation to have about our nation's health and our mental state. And we need to have it at a much higher level. Yeah. And it's not so flippant, with the I come from Hollywood. I was in Hollywood, the Hollywood bodies and what that looked like. This is a much more holistic conversation, like your Kennedy quote, which brings to life the connection of mind and body and how this all works together for us. And what is the cost to the system and our society when we're not healthy? Yeah. And that's, that's a very countercultural in a way conversation. But what I would say, just kind of wrapping up, that we've seen change in the last 3 to 6 months. For decades in this category, it was very simple. Guys want to get bigger, girls want to get thinner. And sorry to break it down that way for all my constituents out there. I'm not trying to be flippant on that summary, but that's where it was. Now, other than physical fitness, nearly tied, statistically significant from the work that we're doing with our groups and what we're looking at, mental health is the thing that's coming up. I am working out for my mental health and to help me overcome stress. And we've seen that always as a part of the equation, but literally it is almost neck and neck tied right now across all demographics, and especially with millennials, it's actually at the top. And, so Jeremy, it's fascinating to watch this.
Jeremy, what's so cool about this is that human beings primally in our ancient prehistoric past, we did two things. We moved and we told stories. And often those stories were stories about what happened when we were moving. And so from the hunter-gatherers on, if you can capture the importance of movement, the importance of exercise, and the importance of storytelling in a package, man, that's magic. That's golden.
Yeah. Well, I will use that as a segue to say that JT has to move to another meeting where he will... But I will give you the standard line, which is we're here every day, and you are more than welcome to join us, to Zoom bomb us, to be a part of this little family and community. And I mean that it is a place where there are no judgments, and it's very special. And we just we formed these instant bonds with now 120 guests. So you're welcome to pop by anytime. And we just want to thank you for today.
It was awesome.
Absolutely. No, my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, and Joseph, for having me. It really was a pleasure. I enjoyed it. And now that I've uncovered the series, because now I was doing all my research, I'm going to be don't worry. I'm gonna be watching, chiming in, and staying in touch. So look out.
That's awesome. Well,
Bye-bye.
listen, thank you for everything. And don't forget my hat, because I'm wearing it on December 31st.
I'm not going to forget your hat.
Right.
I've already got, as I was flipping my screen to get the notifications out of the way, that was my team chiming in, being like, oh my God, how many hats? I'm like, I go later.
Well, Tom Morris has to have a hat. Jan has to have a hat. You know, it's like Oprah. You get a hat. You get a hat. You get a hat.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I don't need the Buick. I don't need the Buick. The hat is great.